Hello guys, I'm Combo Movie from Productions. Like most of you, I loved Endgame. It was fantastic, emotional, funny, intense, exciting, and so much more that solidified an 11-year saga and paid off 3 phases of a storyline. But I don't think it was the best film in the MCU, nor the best Avengers or Russo Brothers film. I still love the movie, but ever since I saw the movie a few months back, I've had ideas about how I would change up the movie, and today I want to discuss my version of the film. And if you want to share your ideas, go ahead and comment them. But I'm gonna lay some ground rules for myself, and more of a grounded concept I would pitch to Marvel Studios. The biggest rule is that I'm not gonna include any characters owned by other studios. In a perfect world, I would add these characters in a heartbeat, but I'm trying to change and fix my problems with the film itself, and not just add the X-Men, Venom, Fantastic Four, etc. Basically, apart from one new character, we're gonna keep the same roster of characters from the movie. I'm going to try and focus on the film's story and how I would change it, and not just add on extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. Other than that, let's get into how I would change Avengers Endgame. So basically, I would keep the opening the same with Hawkeye's family disappearing, but it's extended a little bit to feel the weight of the scene, and then cutting to Tony and Nebula on the Guardian ship, and Captain Marvel saves them with Steve and the other surviving members of the Avengers base trying to find Thanos. Tony and Nebula get back safe and Tony rants at Steve. All that stuff is kept the same. What I would change is that Captain Marvel is a little bit more arrogant than she already is in the MCU thus far, basically acting as like she alone can defeat Thanos, and that she doesn't need the Avengers to help her out. Having this set for her character arc in the film that I'll talk about in just a second. So the rest of the scene is the same. The Avengers track down Thanos because he used the stones and traveled to his farm to surprise attack him. What I would change is that Thanos has more strength than shown in the opening scene of the movie, showing that he used the stones to heal himself as much as he could before destroying them, so he still possesses a threat against the Avengers. So Thanos is having some CTC or whatever and the Avengers attack, but using his strength manages to fight the Avengers once more. Captain Marvel sweeps in and tries to fight Thanos, but he uses Stormbreaker after beating up Thor and beats up Captain Marvel as well. Basically, Captain Marvel's arc in this movie is about her not thinking she's worthy of being a hero after the opening scene of the film and reluctant to use her powers for the rest of the movie until she builds up her self-esteem again and learns to be a team player while also believing in herself again. But anyways, back to the Thanos attack scene. Basically, Thanos says he used the stones to destroy the stones, like the movie, and as he's fighting up the Avengers, Cap, Nebula, and Black Widow don't know what to do. War Machine and Rocket try firing projectiles at him, but they do nothing. Basically, it seems hopeless until Banner breaks out of the Hulkbuster and turns into the Hulk once again, and as the parallels to the opening of Infinity War where Thanos defeated Hulk, Hulk beats up Thanos using his fighting technique. There would be foreshadowing of this scene at the Avengers gym, since there was a scene in one of the Endgame TV spots that did show Black Widow in the gym at the Avengers base punching a punching bag, and I would have a scene where one or a few of the Avengers like Captain America calls out to Banner that they're gonna go to space, as we see a green blur behind the base destroying some punching bags or whatever, showing the Hulk is training for a rematch. So Hulk outsmarts Thanos using Banner's brain to find the right points, similar to how Iron Man fought Steve at the end of Civil War, by finding his weak points, and then finishing off the scene with him knocking out Thanos outside of his hut, and it ends up with Thanos on the ground as it basically plays out like the scene in the film where Thanos apologizes to Nebula and Thor decapitates him with Stormbreaker. The scene ends with the Avengers defeated and hopeless as they walk into the distance as we see Thanos' body turn to red dust, showing that he used the Reality Stone, he isn't dead, and he still has his stones. So this next part plays similar to the scenes in the movie, but are given a lot more development and showing the world affected by Infinity War that wasn't shown that much in the original movie. Cap does AA meetings where we would see the Defenders get a cameo, like showing Matt Murdock and Luke Cage being in the circle, and I would also have a scene like in the Defenders miniseries where we would see the Avengers and the Defenders have dinner together, maybe even having shawarma as a way to tie back to the original Avengers, and also tie the TV shows and the films together finally. The biggest change that I would make to the world in this movie is that the world is a lot more run down and the world hates the Avengers in this movie, blaming them for the loss of their loved ones, and I would have a scene where Luke Cage protects Cap from rioters after an AA meeting, and other scenes like that, like having a massive projectile dome like the one Wakanda had in Infinity War that Okoye gave to the Avengers after she took up the mantle of leading Wakanda along with M'Baku, which wasn't shown in the movie, and that's another way of world building. I would also have Black Widow and Hawkeye help out orphans in Washington DC, which was an idea the Russos and the writers had before scrapping it, and also being a slight reference to Homecoming. Iron Man's arc is the exact same except he does help out the Avengers. He and Pepper hang out with them at dinners, and he and Steve amended their strife. Rocket and Nebula are a lot closer in this version of the movie and are really good friends since they're the last remaining Guardians, and find out they have quite a bit in common, and would also set up a pivotal scene later in the film. Hulk is the same with Banner and Hulk merging to Professor Hulk. Captain Marvel has been on Earth since Thanos nearly killed her 5 years ago and has never been the same since, having nightmares but still tries to do good like helping out civilians, helping out Widow with the orphans, and repairing damaged Flamage Light Marks, and other stuff like that. The first act shows us the world, but throughout the film has a feeling of hopelessness to it for the characters in a way since they've never had to deal with something like this before. losing. And although everybody's doing something, everybody has to go over what happened in Infinity War and are dealing with it in various different ways. And we also showed that Thanos' snap was wrong, because in Endgame, we really didn't see that much consequence for Thanos' snap. The world was just a lot more depressed. In this movie, we will see the effects that Thanos' snap caused, and that the world is a lot worse because of Thanos' destruction. The first act is melancholic basically, and our characters think it's all over until our idiot brother shows up. Okay, that was a bad reference. So while our Avengers are wallowing in their own self-pity, Ant-Man gets brought back from the quantum realm, and not because of a rat. My version would have to deal with, once again, another effect of the snap in that the economy is completely dead and resources are dwindling, so people will try to steal what they can to get by. So we see a group of kids break into a storage unit where Scott Lang's stuff is, and they see the van. They break into the van and play around with the buttons, seeing as they've never seen a quantum tunnel before, and out comes Ant-Man. And from there, the scene plays out the same. He finds Cassie alone, but we do have the scene between the two, other than just the one where we see each other for the first time in 5 years, and Cassie explains how rough it's been since then, and confirms that her mom and stepdad are dead, along with the other Ant-Man side characters. Then Scott travels to upstate New York to find the Avengers, and then the scene plays out the same. Hulk gets involved when Tony doesn't want to help out because of his family, and then accepts and then builds a quantum machine as they bring back the team. Everybody comes back. Rocket, Nebula, War Machine, Black Widow, Hawkeye, etc. Along with Captain Marvel and Okoye joining as well, along with Wong and Happy Hogan helping out in some way. The Avengers are weary about doing the mission until Captain Marvel brings in Nick Fury, Maria Hill, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. led by Coulson, as they explain that the Nick Fury and Maria Hill that were dusted at the end of Infinity War were actually Talos and his wife from Captain Marvel, since Far From Home's second post-credit scene hinted towards that, as they decide to come back from the shadows to help the cause. Everybody's there except for one Avenger. So Cap and Tony go to find Thor on New Asgard, and they come across Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek, who all don't know where Thor is, and they don't want to know where he is. In this movie, Thor isn't played for laughs, instead he takes up Hawkeye's role in Endgame and becomes Ronin, calling bad guys like he's Batman in BBS. Tony and Cap find Thor after he kills some Yakuza members, like how Black Widow found Hawkeye in Endgame, as the both of them try to calm down Thor, and he does calm down at some point. So they go to a restaurant of some sort and talk about how the past 5 years have been for them. And Thor is fine until they bring up the quantum machine and say they're going to bring everybody back. This triggers Thor, and the three ensue in a battle similar to the first Avengers, as the three battle with it ending in a tie and Thor flying away. They get back to the States, and the night before they travel, Thor shows up and reluctantly joins. He shaves, since in this version of the movie he has grown his hair like in the Astro movie with the braided beard and stuff, but shaves it down back to his Ragnarok and Infinity War look. With the help of Captain Marvel, who the two start to bond a friendship across the film that helps the both of them get back to their former glory, but wiser at the same time. They have one last dinner together as they prepare for the journey to begin. So 12 Avengers suit up and go in 3 separate groups through different periods of time. So Iron Man, Cap, Ant-Man, and Okoye head to the Battle of New York to retrieve the 3 stones like the movie, while Hulk, War Machine, Black Widow, and Hawkeye go to Morag, and Thor, Captain Marvel, Nebula, and Rocket go to Asgard and Vormir, with Rocket and Nebula going to Vormir alone, like how Widow and Hawkeye did in the movie. Tony's team does the same thing with getting to the Scepter, Captain America fighting himself, Tony and Cap going back to 1970, and so on, except for Okoye going to the Agent 1 like Hulk did in the movie, and gets the same monologue. Hulk's team goes to Morag, and War Machine uses his tech to get the Power Stone, but while traveling back, Hulk and War Machine's time devices malfunction, and get sent back to 2010 where they come across the younger versions of themselves, aka Edward Norton and Terrence Howard reprising their roles as both versions fight each other, with the newer versions winning, as they explain everything and make their peace, and manage to get some pin particles as well from Banner's college and go back to the present. It's a little clunky, I know, but it would be cool. Thor and Captain Marvel gets the Reality Stone as they exchange some funny dialogue about Jane, and Thor talking to his mom about what has happened, and making him starting to believe in himself again. This would be a more impactful scene, and getting Mjolnir back would be more emotional, showing Thor hasn't lost his way, even though he thought he wasn't worthy as they travel back. And then Rocket and Nebula go to Vormir, as Nebula sacrifices herself for the stone once again, showing parallels to Infinity War, and also showing how much the relationship has grown since the previous films, and Rocket losing the last Guardian and the last connection to Thanos' bloodline. And then everybody gets back and the time is done. Also, as a side note, I would have put a Quicksilver cameo in there somewhere because he needs some spotlight. But as they are saving the world, the Mad Titan catches on to what they're doing. So while the Avengers are out getting the stones, Thanos has been kept safe and hidden from the help of Mistress Death, the only new character I'm going to add in this version of the film. They aren't in the romance like the comics, but she admires Thanos for wiping out half the universe and is kept in case something goes awry. She finds out somehow that the Avengers have all the stones, as Thanos still has the gauntlet on but can only use one stone at a time that takes a lot of energy which he can't use. So their plan is to go back to Nidavellir and force Peter Dinklage to make a second gauntlet for Thanos' other hand, raid the Avengers base, and then snap the universe down to the last atom, and will rebuild the universe from the ground up, like the actual film. The Avengers track Thanos down, finding out he's alive as they meet Peter Dinklage, or we meet him as in terms with Thor and Rocket, as Thanos and Mistress Death show up, as they battle and exchange some words, ending with Thor sacrificing himself to save the team, in particular Captain Marvel, as he floats in the dead of space, as the Avengers manage to get the second gauntlet and return back to Earth, as Hulk puts on the gauntlet and snaps his fingers, while Thanos and Death's army blow up Avengers base, and Cap and Iron Man fight Thanos alone as the rest of the team try to get out of the rubble. Before then, Tony apologizes for Cap for Siberia, the Accords, and basically the entirety of Civil War, and Cap apologizes to Tony for keeping his parents' deaths a secret. As the two battle against the Mad Titans, similar style to how Cap and Bucky fought Tony in Civil War. Tony and Thanos have a rematch, and Tony is about to get pierced with Thanos' double sword, which just gives Thanos in this version of the movie. And Cap picks up Mjolnir and fights Thanos, and like the movie, loses, and Death's army is planning to take over the world as Thanos delivers some more dialogue, but then, like the film, everybody that got dusted comes back. Multiple armies show up along with the TV heroes as well. The Defenders, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, the Runaways, even the Inhumans can join, I guess. As they all assemble with pretty much the entire MCU battle with Thanos, and also Thor comes back to life as Peter Dinklage gives him Stormbreaker and recharges him back to life and slams him with the Immigrant song playing, and it's so charged up he can change states of matter, so he charges just into lightning as the rest of the final battle plays out like the movie, but with some differences. The battle's a lot longer like how it was supposed to be in the original drafts of the script, with its own 3-act structure, the beginning, then having the heroes come up with a plan in the trenches, and then the grand finale. And I would add more character moments like Rocket seeing the Guardians again, Captain Marvel regaining her confidence in fighting Thanos with Thor, Hawkeye shoots in the air into one Thanos' eye, Happy gets a Hulkbuster suit, and War Machine gets his own Hulkbuster like the Lego set, Tony and Bucky make amends, and so on and so on. Death also ensues in the battle, killing soldiers whenever they go, as it ends like the movie with Thanos and Tony sparring, and Tony getting the stones and snapping Thanos' death and her army away, as Tony dies and it ends off with his funeral and everybody going their separate ways. Thor travels with the Guardians, Hawkeye goes back with his family, Widow teams up with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Cap goes back to return all the stones and live with Peggy, and passes on the mantle to Sam, as everybody lives happy lives as credits roll. So that's my version of Endgame. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want me to do a part 2 of this video with my even crazier idea for Endgame, make sure to like and subscribe to my content. I'm Combo Movie Film Productions, signing out.